Hey, what's up, everyone? Time for another show. This is the Go Along Podcast. I'm Tyler Dunn here with Jim Monis. We've kind of beat the Packers 49ers to death. So we got into it with Bob. We included that podcast right here on the Go Along feed. So, Jim, I
Yeah,
figured we'd get into all the other games, man. Let's just whip around. Let's hit on all of them.
I mean,
This is, for my money, this is the best sports weekend of the year. Any sport, you get two great games on Saturday, two great games on Sunday. There's always something crazy that happens divisional playoff weekend. I don't know if you have any
always.
memories. I'm sure you do, right? That New Orleans San Francisco game might come to mind. Uh,
Yeah, that's always the one I talk about. The one that I still can't. One of our former guests, Roman Harper. I mean, that he and Sharper had that. They were split by Vernon Davis, and I'll never forget it. But yeah, this weekend, and here's why it's fun when you're in the NFL too. Is after this weekend is when everybody goes to Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl. So it's like an NFL convention. And let me just tell you what it's like when you're there, knowing you're going to whether it's the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl, whatever it is, man, you are walking around that place like you can't even imagine. You're floating around that place, basically. You feel like you are just like not even walking. You feel that good. So I do have those good memories of that. And then you have the other memories when you get your heart ripped out and you're sitting there watching a college all-star game and you're just like, none of these guys can help us. Like we can't, it's like you go the other way too. You can be really upset, but it's just an emotional time. I love this weekend. Yeah, I do. I think about all my friends that are still in the NFL, the guys on these teams, like
yeah.
Gutekunst for Green Bay. I pull, we kind of are Gutekunst fans. So, I mean, I'm pulling for Green Bay a little bit. Although I like Adam Peters for the 49ers. He's getting GM interviews with the Giants. He's a good dude.
Joe
So it's like
Shane with the
Joe
Bills.
Shane, Joe and I always like Joe, for Buffalo. Brett Veach for the Kansas City, go way back with him. So, these guys, I just know how much they put into it. So it's always fun for me to see that side of it too.
I mean, my God, this is why you spend more than half of your life living out of a Marriott. I mean, I'll never forget that anecdote, that detail in Matt Fairburn's story. He flew around the country with
But
Brandon
yeah, with
Beane and Joe Shane when they're
Joe,
scouting.
yeah.
And God, I can't remember the exact number, but it floored me how much Joe Shane has spent living in a Marriott. I'm sure that's the case for all you guys that have been
I'm
scouts. It's a
I'm platinum.
lifestyle.
I'm platinum for life with Marriott. I mean, literally, I feel like there was a time in my life where I felt more comfortable in a Marriott hotel than I did like at wherever I was living. Like the Marriott to me, I always felt like I was at home.
Yeah.
And when I was at home, I just felt like I was visiting. I mean, it was that like you're that into it and they treat you. I mean, there is something to be said, man. When you hit that platinum elite forever and you get treated like that might be the other part of it that's nice.
A
Maybe that's
butler
what it
actually comes to your room and wipes your ass for you when you reach that level of Marriott loyalty. You don't have to wipe your own ass. You're in the clear at that point.
is. That I guess that's the goal. Is I just don't want to do anything. Like just take care of me, do my work for me. Can you do my work? Can you do this? But
Yeah,
no, there
yeah,
it
it's
is,
not
man.
bad.
It's crazy life. It's a crazy life scouting. So, and that's the other thing. A lot of these guys like Joe Shane and Adam, we all started as area scouts. It changes once you get up to the into the front office and in the office all the time. You're not in the Marriotts as much, but it's
Which I
still just
imagine wives and children would like these promotions to happen for these guys.
it's an adjustment for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's an adjustment is the
I
only
imagine
way I
it's like
can say it.
Tom Hanks, like in Castaway when he comes home, when he has to
Oh,
readjust to everyday life and he
yeah,
struggles with it.
yeah.
It's like he's living on this island, this totally just alternate universe. And
That's a man, that's an impressive pickup by you because it is, you're by yourself all the time. And it's like,
man,
I always said, I don't think I was house trained too well. Some of my exes might agree. I did the best
oh
I
man.
could.
Hey, he did a hell of a job. I do credit teams like the Vikings and the Bears, and I can't believe I'm saying this, the Giants. Well, as much as the Giants are willing to do here, to clean house, to start over. They had to do it. They're all a little late doing it. But they're doing it. And they're interviewing a lot of really good people. Elliott Wolf, Glenn Cook, Peters, Shane. These are the kind of names you should be seeing in these interviews. So kudos to franchises that have found a way to royally screw themselves over the years.
You know what, Tyler? I'm glad it's cool to be on a part of a podcast where we can talk about the personnel guys, the guys from scouts to personnel to GMs. It's nice to get them recognition because these guys can change these teams. I mean, that's how important that position is. And remember what we said, I still want to pay attention to who hires. If they hire their GM first, does that GM select the coach? Those are the teams that are going to get it right. I really want to pay attention to that. So if they hire Joe Shane in New York or Adam Peters, let's see if they hire somebody that they have a relationship with. Those teams are heading in the right direction. Then they just have to get their quarterback. But anyway,
order of operations. It's
really, yes. If you pay attention to it, you can tell who's heading in the right path. It's not like Jacksonville grabbing Urban and grabbing Trent Baalke. They have no relationship. Force them together.
An arranged marriage.
Just ridiculous. Gettleman and Joe Judge, they got nothing. All these guys have no relationships. It's like, how do you think it's going to work? I can tell you how it works. The head coach.
Like, why do they waste their time?
Shake your hand and tell you to go. But that's seriously how it works.
You don't have any experience with that, Jim.
The Senior Bowl is funny because I used to always, the Senior Bowl is when you get to, it's like a coach's convention, really. I used to see McDermott down there. I would always catch up with him when he was with the Panthers. I was with the Saints or the Bills. And, I remember that was always the time we'd have a quick 5-10 minute, how you doing, blah, blah, blah. It's just funny.
A lot of dudes at the Senior Bowl.
Hey,
a lot of time around a lot of dudes.
I'm gonna tell you,
at Veets.
It's really not. It's not something I loved. All-Star game, the Senior Bowl isn't something I enjoyed. It was. I think that's the reason why it was way too just. The whole NFL you can't everywhere you look, right? Like you said, Veets, wherever you go, you're gonna see Rex and Rob Ryan at Veets for sure.
Yeah.
I don't.
All right. Well, let's talk about the teams that are in the playoffs. What do you say?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Got it, because we'll have time to definitely get into.
Yeah, we'll get into all that because I'm going down there to cover the Senior Bowl for the XFL.
Are you?
Yeah, so I'll be down there.
Awesome. Yeah. I will not be there, unfortunately. So you'll have to be our dispatcher for Go On. Bills Chiefs.
Bills Chiefs.
Start with the start.
I mean, what do we even do? I mean, there's nothing needs to be said other than kick the ball off. I mean, what else? These teams are officially rivals now. I mean, the McDermott, Andy Reid thing's been beaten into the ground. Shit, I feel like last year we even said it was beat into the ground. We know the history of all these guys. We know the Pagula Mahomes thing. Like, we know all the stuff. Let's play the game. Let's play it. Like, it's two incredibly coached teams and incredible quarterbacks.
What are we missing then? You're right. I mean, the storylines have been beaten to death. We have played a part of that. But like, what are we missing? Is there a player? Is there an X factor that we're missing here? A storyline that we're missing? Is there something that isn't being talked about that should be to you?
I still don't think, and this might be talked about. I haven't really paid attention too much this week, but I'm still not completely sold on Kansas City's defense. I'm just not. I don't think they've turned the corner that well. I think the Bills can. I think I might have said this last. I just feel like the Bills defense has a better chance of slowing down KC than KC's defense does the Bills offense. Like, that's kind of where I see the advantage for Buffalo. I just think they're so rock solid on defense. And Kansas City is, they still can get, like, I still felt like that first quarter last week against Pittsburgh, they were like a circus act. I didn't like the way they came out. They were just running around. You know what I mean? There was no, like, just flow to their offense. It was Mahomes running around again and crazy plays. And, that's the stuff that I don't like about Kansas City's offense sometimes. But these quarterbacks just make everything. I don't know what to say. I don't know what we're about to see. We're witnessing. It's going to be a show. A show.
I think you make a really good point there, Jim, because we've seen the Chiefs defense do this, right? Up and down. And, they had a good month and a half, 2 months there when they were really shutting teams down. But, okay, who are you really beating? I mean,
that's what.
Was Dak really Dak in that game? I don't know.
He was not. He was
and
coming
he didn't
off
have
that
his
injury.
receivers.
And they didn't. I agree with you. When you dive into that, what they did, and when you really study, I was looking at all their stuff this week, and they're not that as improved as you think on defense. Like they have serious weaknesses. So
also, though, on the flip side, Jim, I mean, this could be the week where you do miss Tre'Davious White. They haven't really.
We haven't even talked about
corners
that.
haven't really been tested yet.
We haven't talked about that. It's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I was thinking back to how important that Micah Hyde interception was. I know we talked about it, but when you the Patriots still have a little life. They were showing life, on
they moved the ball right down that first drive. Yeah.
And I think about I was thinking about plays like that. Like, are we going to see, the Patriots weren't capable of exposing your corners. They just don't have, that's not their team. But this team, Kansas City, is. So I agree with you. Could this be the week?
The Bills, every move the Bills have made has been to beat the Chiefs, pretty much. Right? I mean, bringing back Matt
Milano.
Adding all these pass rushers. Giving Josh Allen that money when you gave him that money, and bringing in Emmanuel Sanders, trying to upgrade and tweak their receiver. Everything has been with the Chiefs on the mind.
No question. I wish this was the AFC Championship. I really do.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to play devil's advocate, twisting myself into pretzels here, but last year into the Super Bowl, I just kept trying to talk myself into Tampa Bay and ending it with but Mahomes.
Well,
he'll just what did Tampa Bay do? They had him running for his life all game. I don't know if the Bills can do that. I don't think that they've got the front that Tampa Bay had that night to really have Patrick Mahomes on the ropes, running for his life. Mahomes is a guy, he rises to the moment for the most part. And unless you get that pressure, he will rise to I don't know if the Bills can get that pressure yet.
I don't either. I agree with you. And the Chiefs are healthy too up front, not like they were against Tampa. So that right there, it's probably, I mean, we talk about it I feel like, keys to the game in the NFL, if we're announcing, when do you not say, don't turn the ball over, pressure the quarterback? Like, it's really comes down to that. I hate to say it, it's so cliche, but it's so true in football. The turnovers can't happen. You just can't. Like, whoever turns the ball over in this game is going to struggle to win.
Because McDermott's not going to blitz, right? He doesn't like to blitz.
No, he does. I mean, I know he does. Yeah, that's hard for me to answer. I mean,
you got to get there with 4.
You like, right. That's always the goal,
but Spagnuolo's going to send people at Josh Allen, isn't he?
Yeah.
You would think.
Which I think helps the Bill. I think Josh is unbelievable with his quick processing. It's almost like when he doesn't have time, he's almost better because he knows he has to get rid of it, and he can deliver every type of throw under pressure, all that. It's going to be wild, man. You're talking about the two best, second and third best quarterbacks, like I said before, in my opinion. 2 and 3. I don't care how you put them 2 and 3. I don't want to get into that. Aaron Rodgers, we know, is 1.
Do we, though?
Oh.
I might be working Burrow into that 1 slot.
I'd put him at 4.
I know it.
I told you, I put him at 4.
All right, let's get predictions on Bills Chiefs.
Okay, so I'm going. I can't believe it. I think the Bills can do this. I think the Bills can pull this off. So, yeah, I'm going Bills.
And you're putting your money where your mouth is via
Well,
gambling.
that's part of it too. I do.
Mhm.
I did. I have I'll be a very happy man.
Oh, bitter Jim Monas.
Yeah,
At
you
it
like the
again.
bitter. You like when the Bills lose, and we'll do a pod after it so I can get angry at McDermott and everybody. The Chiefs aren't going to, Mahomes won't throw a pass. Is that going to be the storyline?
Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Derwin Williams going to combine for 50 carries. I'm going Chiefs. I don't know, though. I think it's a shootout. I think it's one of those whoever has the ball last. And I feel like Josh Allen might make that one mistake in this game. I think the Spagnuolo is going to do something weird. I think Allen will put up a ton of stats, but I think the Chiefs might do something exotic, something strange. You remember in the AFC Championship game a year ago, we had Jeff Schwartz on. He broke it down on how they pressured him, how they flustered him. I think they're going to do something at some point, and it's going to cost them in a shootout type of game.
I honestly, yes. Like I'm sitting there saying the Bills, nothing will surprise me.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills won either.
That's what I'm saying. This game
phenomenal
is like, to me, it's just can't like. I do my don't tune in for my prediction. I'm honestly like I hope the Bills win because I bet on them, but I'm not going to sit there and act like I feel like it's an easy one. Now I do have a game I want to talk about though. Rams, Tampa. I love the Rams to win this game. I think Tampa is banged up a little bit. Well, I know they are. We know about their skill players. That right tackle, that was a major, major injury. Now, I'm not sure what his status is for this game. It's not going to change my opinion, but like it's not going to sway me. But yeah, Wirfs. But the way the Rams are playing right now on defense, especially on defense, and if Stafford can keep this going, what they have going on offense right now, that Cam Akers, they're a different team with him. He makes them different. They looked the part the other night.
Wirfs is a long shot to play per NFL Network.
Okay, so I'm just telling you now. If Caesars or BetMGM, whoever's giving those little free sign up bonuses and match your bet, I might be doing that with the Rams.
Man,
so how do you think I'm crazy?
I think you're onto something. I think the Rams with Cam Akers, he looked really good.
I forgot.
He looked really good with Sony Michel, but Akers is a different back.
Different back. It's going to be, we'll see. So you don't think it's a crazy, you think you could see
Not at all. I mean, Odell Beckham is found a role. Von Miller still looks like he can be Von Miller.
It was so fun to see Beckham look like Beckham again and go up and high point that. And I'm like, that guy is he's so special. Like when he was at his height.
It's a lazy take, I know, but I can't get there with you because of Brady, Stafford. Same thing as Rodgers, Garoppolo to an extent.
Once again,
Stafford looked great. I mean, he's not Garoppolo, but I trust Tom Brady at home in a playoff game a lot more than I trust Matt Stafford on the road in a playoff game.
I'm sitting there. I must have I don't know. There's something wrong with me.
And Brady looks way better than he did in the playoffs last year. Right now.
I feel like every year, like we did this last year, I was sitting there saying, I just think Tampa's not. And it doesn't matter. It's like whatever happens to them doesn't matter. Injuries, it's okay. Brady will take care of it.
The quick release helps you with the Wirfs injury. It's not like they're doing these 7-step drops like Arians did with Carson Palmer.
Down the field. No, they were not thrown down the field. I didn't think they looked that good against Philly.
Really? You don't?
I thought they were just better. I thought they played a good game. It wasn't like this. Philly was bad. Like they did not show up.
Personally, I think they should expand the playoffs to just everybody. I think everybody should make it. If it's
just make it like college football.
I mean, it's got to be fair. Make it fair, right? Give everybody a shot. Let's see it. Let's get a Green Bay Detroit opener.
They should do like 20 26 teams, like just to see how angry, like
what a joke. I mean, what? I get it. The Chargers and Colts were better than the Steelers, and maybe it's more competitive with them in there, but
still,
what to add a team, obviously it's more money, it's more interest. You're engaging more fans by bringing in more teams, but you're hurting the product. Super wild card. Get the hell out. Super wild card. All right, so you're picking the Rams.
That was kind of my fun hot take.
All right, then we're gonna differ there as well. I'll take the Patriots. I do that so often with Tom Brady. We're talking about Brady and the Bucs, and I just say to him,
it's hard to believe he's still not there.
Yeah. Leonard Fournette could be a factor.
Yeah, I agree.
And I feel like he'll just find a way. I don't know. And I think that defense can turn it on still. I think they've got some dogs over there still to get after Stafford.
They do.
So
you saying that about saying how you still think Brady's on the Patriots. I bet Belichick does that once a week. I bet he wants to text Tom or something like, "Hey, I think we can expose them in this, in this coverage." He's like, "Oh shit, that's right. He's not my quarterback anymore."
When's the last time they talk, you think?
I don't know. I wish I knew more about how Brady does not seem to. I don't know. It seems strange to me. I don't feel like Brady. I don't know how he feels about him.
I think it's almost like they were college roommates for 2 decades, and you once in a while, even if it's your best friend and it's your college roommate, you're gonna get sick of each other. They didn't necessarily even really like each other. They just won a lot together. I just think they got just tired of each other's idiosyncrasies, and Brady probably got tired of Belichick treating him like everybody else, and Belichick probably had his ego going, thinking, "I'm not going to give you any special treatment. I can win with whoever back there. I do my thing on defense." I don't know. I just kind of ran its course. I don't think they loathe each other.
No,
they just got tired of each other.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to say it. Interesting. All right, so let's get to your Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
And you just did that, by the way, story on Simmons, Tennessee.
Thank you. One of those guys we don't talk enough about,
And this is a classic for me where the league, everybody now has discovered Joe Burrow. I feel pretty good about our go long. Our history, we've been on Joe Burrow from last year. So anyway, but this is that classic where we're talking about one team, right? Burrow, the Bengals, the offense, the yards, Chase, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, Tennessee sitting there, week off, getting healthy.
Yeah.
They have a physical, the defensive tackle for the Bengals that's out, Ojanobi. I think I said it right.
Yeah.
That's a major loss. I'm telling you, he's
been a huge addition for them.
Huge addition. Hendrickson's going to play the defensive end, but he's not 100%. I like Tennessee in this one. And I'm not a Tannehill fan, but it's just for all those reasons where I don't think you can value a week off at this time. I don't think people understand how important that is. I hope it doesn't make me look like an idiot and both Tennessee and Green Bay will lose, but I honestly think that week off, I don't think you understand what that does. I'm not saying you, just in general, for the players, is such a refresher.
Especially this time of year.
That's what I'm saying.
To be able to heal. And the Titans historically are the most injured team ever.
That's crazy.
They've had the most starters. I think it ended at 88 or 89. It was something insane. And we're not just talking role players. We're talking an MVP candidate in Derrick Henry. He could have set the rushing record with the extra game. We're talking A.J. Brown.
Their defense was a mess. Yeah.
The defense is a mess. And they're getting everybody back, as Simmons said.
That's what I'm saying.
At the right time.
At the right time.
I know Derrick Henry's, it was a Jones fracture, right?
Yeah.
reported as.
Yeah.
It's a serious
wonder
injury,
what
but
he'll
if he's
look
good to
like,
go, to not have that mileage, Jim, it's huge, right?
huge. Remember, I'm talking the healthy teams right now. Bengals are how healthy are the Bengals? Tennessee healthy. How healthy is Tampa compared to the Rams? I'm so that's my reasoning at this time of year. I just feel like it goes a long way.
I agree. And, this is a game where Jeffrey Simmons could be a huge factor. Cincinnati, if they have a weakness, it's the offensive line.
Yes, I was going to say that this is not the team you want. Tennessee is, they're tough.
I get it. And I love Joe Burrow. And I love Jamar Chase, and I love all these players that we want to talk about ad nauseum. But I think that it blinds us to this other stuff that, that Cincinnati did give up the most sacks in the NFL, and they did just lose Ogun. I'm going to mispronounce it too.
I said Ogunjobi, yeah.
Who's been such a playmaker inside.
Such a player.
And the Titans are getting healthier, and Henry may be, way better than he's looked in the playoffs even before. With all this time off.
I'm telling you.
I'm going to take Tennessee as well, and I think they win somewhat convincingly, maybe.
It's not gonna. I'm with you on this.
Which leaves us Green Bay, San Francisco.
You guys
did
talked
the pod
about
with Bob.
Yeah.
I took Green Bay.
I do like Green Bay in this game too. Well, I know you said Bob likes 49ers, but
he does.
I know. I like that. You know how much we've talked about the 49ers. That was one of the teams we said could sneak in, and as a team in the preseason, I thought it was going to be a legit playoff team. So I just don't. I just Garoppolo against Aaron Rodgers for me. I don't know. I hate to I don't bring it to that, but
it's hard to argue.
And the 49ers secondary has had, they're playing, but they have it. They've had issues this year in secondary. But the 49ers are nasty, man. It's not like it's hard betting against them. I love the way they play. Their defense is physical.
They're built for single digits. It's gonna be harder to tackle. It's gonna be harder to break a tackle. And as Bob said, guys like Deebo Samuel, Elijah Mitchell, George Kittle,
nasty.
Nick Bosa, Fred Warner.
Nasty.
It's not going to phase them. I'm not saying it will phase Green Bay. I think San Francisco, they physically are taking it to teams right now. It should not have even been a game at the end, which is why I'm picking Green Bay. I feel like Jimmy Garoppolo is who he is, but if he hits an open Brandon Ayuk, if he doesn't throw that pick, if he lets Trent Williams get set, there were so many moments toward the end of that game where he just kept Dallas in it. They physically took it to Dallas, and they can do that. It's now the Garoppolo's banged up. He's not that great. Give me Green Bay. I still think Green Bay wins.
That's a tough one. I do. It's hard because you can sit there and the 49ers team is just. I have a lot of respect for what they did, how they played.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well,
it's just crazy to think that Garoppolo is like how he handled this year. And he handled it pretty well.
He did about as well as you could expect.
He played his normal. I've told you, he's a top. He really is. Like, go ahead and rank your quarterbacks if you ever feel like it, but he'll be in your 13 to 18 range. That's where he stacks when I rank the guys. And it's not horrible.
They're around these quarterbacks every day. I get it. Maybe Trey Lance really is light years away. But Jim, if you rip that Band-Aid off, I told Bob, and rip it off in September, they went didn't they go 2-5 to start the season anyways?
Right. So why not have just
do it?
Yeah.
Because then I think you could have got to this moment. It could have been a Kaepernick factor with what he can do.
Good point.
It's not like quarterbacks in that offense have to be like surgeons and read defenses. And I mean, he just missed a wide open Brandon Ayuk. Trey Lance can hit that pass, right? He would
I
hope.
think.
Giving up 3 firsts for him.
Like I said, I thought I thought he was away.
You did. Yeah, you did.
And that really may have been true. I mean, that's a lot. That's a big jump. So I would just guess that he was just not ready.
Yeah.
And give them credit for not forcing it. If it was that big of a, now that the other way, you could look at it the other way and be like, holy shit, can he get it? Is he ready for next year?
And Green Bay might be having similar conversations. I mean, they might need Jordan Love to play next year.
Amazing.
But at least he's been out there a little bit. There's been some bad, a little bit of good, but it could be a last championship run for Green Bay. I mean, it was Super Bowl or bust from day one. From day one, if they didn't win a Super Bowl, it was a disappointment. To kowtow, to give in, whatever you see to behind the scenes to Aaron Rodgers. All right, beat Jimmy Garoppolo at home.
Yeah.
Then win one more game and you're in the Super Bowl. 14 years, one Super Bowl appearance. There's a lot of pressure on Aaron Rodgers right now, as an all-time great.
That, man, when you put it like that, it always makes me so confused.
Oh.
The way I talk about Rodgers, and then you throw out a stat like that, and it's like confusing. It's just confusing. Don't know how he's not just consistently in the Super Bowl, because he's that talented. He really is.
Man.
Anyway.
Any final thoughts?
No, this will be a good one. This will be a good weekend.
I think we're going to split these pods up if you're listening right now. So if you haven't already, check out the conversation. George Teague, former Packer, former Cowboy, unbelievably entertaining, interesting guy. We talked about his playoff memories. He still has the record for longest interception return for a touchdown, tied with Taron Johnson after last season.
Oh, that's crazy. That's who it was tied with.
Yeah, we got into that. Got into when he lost all kinds of weight that year and he didn't know why. It was freaky. And we talked a little Cowboys, Mike McCarthy, his thoughts on if you're a player in that locker room and your coach is at a mic and saying you were nervous during the team prayer. Shouldn't be a surprise, right, Jim?
Not to you. Good call.
All right. Thanks for doing it, Jim. Thanks for listening, everybody. We've got a lot of content brewing at Go Long, from feature stories to Bob's All NFC North breakdown.
You just said the word brewing. I'm Frosty IPA, man. I'm kind of hooked.
How could we wait so long to get into Hamburg? That's right.
Well, you know what? You just said brewing. That made me think we were doing Frosty IPA. This snow we have right now here in Buffalo, well, Hamburg now, since I'm part of your.
That's right. You're a Hamburgite.
But man, it makes you want the Frosty IPA with a
Frosty
good
the
soup,
IPA
with a good spicy soup and Frosty IPA.
It's a solid choice. I've kind of graduated to the Grounded series.
I know. I
saw
pick some up. I saw some the other day. I was going to pick some up, but I just went with Frosty.
Had a nice Grounded last night when we were hanging out. Kids went to bed, cracked one of those puppies open. Coffee flavored, bourbon flavored. You got several choices there. So let's do this in person at Hamburg next week. We'll talk about the championship games then. Unless you're gone, right? You're going to Mobile. You just said.
Yeah, we'll talk. Yeah, we'll talk.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Awesome. Thanks for listening, everybody. How's it going, everyone? Absolutely thrilled for our guest this week. Hopefully everybody checked it out over the off season. The great George Teague, former NFL playmaking, explosive, knock you out at the star, extraordinaire. Man himself, George Teague, former Packer, former Cowboy. It's the playoffs, and the Packers and 49ers are playing this weekend. You're involved with one of those games. So, George, we figured we'd bring you on and talk some more here, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure being on. It's always good to talk football. And honestly, regardless of where I finished and played, I still got very fond memories of the Green Bay Packers. Good memories, great memories, friends, family. Things that we've talked about before that got a big tie into Wisconsin and the Green Bay Packers.
I mean, we detailed your roots, from the hometown to Bama to Green Bay, Dallas. So if people want to check that out, we'll link it on the post here. I mean, George has stories for days, so that was a lot of fun. But I figured for this, George, let's get right to some of those playoff memories. I mean, number one, you got to start with number one, right? Against the Lions, Eric
Yep.
Kramer taking it to the house. I think that's probably still one of the more revered plays in team history. I mean, can you just kind of take us through that and kind of what led to, a play that I'm sure people still remember fondly in Wisconsin?
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I'm a big fan of Kramer, I guess, because I've ended up in still in the record books actually for NFL history for the longest scoring play in playoff history. It just so happened to be that I was a Green Bay Packer at that time. So we were playing Detroit. I was a rookie actually that game. And so, when you get on the big stage and you do that, those are always the times where you want at least playmakers to step up and try to help you win a football game. So we were down on the end zone and the end line, and I really kind of had a good bead from Study, Dick Duran, and some others, that were around, or Ray Rhodes, that helped me with some tendencies and different things. And so when that play came up and he was kind of eyeballing the wide receiver a little bit, I went on and took a gamble and went and jumped in front of the pass in the end zone and was able to run it back 101 yards untouched. Didn't really know what that meant at the time, honestly, to run it from end zone to end zone. But then afterwards, when people said, hey, man, that's the longest scoring play in playoff history and it's still standing, almost got broke. I guess that would have been last year when the guy from the Bills did the same thing.
Karen Johnson, that's right.
But he actually tied it. He didn't beat it. That was, it almost happened once before with the guy from the Steelers, but he only had 100 yards. And then this one, I was actually watching it. I was like, oh my gosh.
You're watching it live? No.
Yeah, I'm watching. I'm like, oh no, what is this going on? And it was like, oh, it went down for 100 yards. He just tied George Teague, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, still in the book. So that's almost 30 years ago that record is still. No, I'm sorry. No, that would have been right. 1993. Yes.
93.
93. So it's still on the books. So yeah, that is one of my favorite memories out of Green Bay as well.
It was a play. I mean, you really can't, you know, oversell this too. I mean, that play put the franchise in the map in a lot of ways. I mean, that was a playoff game as the team's coming up. Brett Favre, Reggie White, Mike Holmgren. You guys think you have something good cooking here, but you have to prove it in the playoffs. And you guys did. I mean, could you really kind of grasp how big of a play and how big of a win that was historically? I mean, could you sense that things were kind of on the up and that, getting a win in that moment was really going to speed up the process because it was just a few years later you won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's right.
Granted, you were gone by then, unfortunately, but you're a big
That's
part
true.
of it.
Well, like I say, I was part of that building process, and I knew where we were going and what was happening there. With Ron Wolf and Mike Holmgren, we were pretty big on the future and what needed to happen to be able to compete. So, as you're playing with guys like that that you mentioned, and others, Leroy Butler, Terrell Buckley. I mean, we had some talent back there. We knew that if we just found a way to stick together and do something different, the organization could go. So, over the next couple of years, it ended up being just that. You went from first round to the second round to the NFC Championship, then ultimately the Super Bowl that I didn't get to play in, but I felt like I had a big part of that growth process to get the pack where it needed to be. I do want to tell you this because I don't think we talked about this before. Is that play? I'm glad you brought it up because it has more meaning to me than anybody. Not because of what happened, it was what I was actually going through with my life at that time. You know, I was actually about 176 pounds, I think, at that time, which is really unheard of for NFL free safety, right? But that was before I knew I was having a thyroid issue. So I went from 190 something pounds to 100, you know, I lost 20 pounds over the course of the year. And I was just chalking it up as stress and being away and new baby and playing in the NFL and, you know, just kind of weak and tired. And then, so, you know, when I see that play, I think of, man, you know, I was ill, you know, and still be able to perform that way. So it really means a lot to me when I look back at it and say, oh, how do you overcome, you know, adversity? That was one way for me to do it.
You know, I had forgotten about that. We touched on it, but that that was unbelievable when you really think about it. You're losing this weight. You're thin as a rail, and you don't know why at the time. You're just thinking it's stress. There probably doesn't even cross your mind that you have a thyroid issue. Like, what were you thinking up to that Lions game?
No, I was, well, you know, playing in the game, I felt confident we could win the game. But personally, I was like, okay, you know, I got to fight through this stuff to play, to perform the best that we could. I had no idea what was wrong. It's always fear. At that time, there's uh, AIDS and all kind of crap that you think about. And like, man, what is going
Jeez, yeah,
on?
your
Why am
mind
I
can
losing this
wander.
weight? You know, I ain't doing no crack, doing no stuff. I ain't doing no drugs. You know, what is happening? Um, you know, so um, after the season, you know, that's when I went and found out. I was like, okay, I think I might have mentioned to you, but to your fans, you know, that it was all right. I'm going on a cruise, all inclusive, eat and drink as much as we can. If I lose some weight, you know, after a week, well, I lost 5 pounds in a week. So then I knew, all right, I got to go find out what the heck is going on. And it was a grueling process to try to get my weight back up, you know, the next year to be able to play that second year for the pack.
I forget at that time that was right around Magic Johnson and AIDS, and I mean it was a different time then. I mean people were concerned about that kind of thing. There's so much that people didn't know. That really crossed your mind, like holy crap, could it be
Yeah,
this?
I mean, there's no real explanation, just on the surface, not anything going on with me and my wife and all that kind of stuff, but just on the surface, you go, what could be happening that I'm losing weight this rapidly? I'm still working out. I'm eating more than ever. I'm, you know, hell, I'm a professional athlete. You know, it just, you just start thinking of things that probably don't even make any sense, but I'm trying to rationalize what really could be happening for me to lose this weight. You know, I'm trying to tell the coach, well, we're jumping on the scale every week, you know, and there was a man, come on, man, you know, what are you doing? You know, what's happening? Why are you losing the weight? We got to get you to eat more. And I'm taking up um, increasing my calorie intake and all that kind of stuff. And it really not even making a difference. I'm eating 8 times a day, you know, and I'm losing weight. And then you just go, okay, is this something that I don't need to know about? You know, so that's kind of how it all landed.
Well, thank God you figured out what was wrong and you took care of it. And I think it was that next year and then the year after that, you're able to kind of get things under control, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. After I found out that February what it was. Actually had my thyroid removed through radiation. Basically, just shriveled it all the way up because it was out of control. I couldn't control my metabolism. It was just running high energy, just not sleeping, not going. It's just like being on 5 hour energy all day long, I guess. and
Man, oh man.
yeah, yeah.
And your so your last year in Green Bay, I mean, that was another playoff game that I mean, God, people still remember and cherish in Wisconsin, I'm sure. But beating San Francisco in San Francisco was
Mhm.
kind of a moment that maybe the team really arrived, you know. And then obviously next year is when Green Bay won the Super Bowl. But you were there in '95. You were there at Candlestick. Any memories from that game and what it really meant?
Yes, because you know there was always a lot of talk about Dallas and the 49ers at that time. And so, you know, the 49ers had that mystique of Candlestick and, Steve Young and Merton Hanks and, doing his little neck thing and all this kind of stuff. So it was, there's a little bit of intimidation there, specifically when you're not playing out west that much, So I just remember that, man, I'm going to have to cover Jerry Rice probably at some point in time, the way that they used us as safeties, in particular since I was a cover safety more than Leroy Butler was. So there was a bit of nervousness. But once you get down in there and you realize, okay, it's battle, and I can remember the stadium. It felt like it was all closed in. There wasn't very much space between the sideline and the fans. And so they're breathing all on you and, talking and yelling and screaming. And, we knew we were going to have to battle, but again, we were kind of loaded. Brett Favre really kind of turned things around. By then we had a pretty good secondary, linebacker group, D-line. I do remember it. And actually me and my wife talk about it all the time because she's like, we're out there at the game, and she was actually sitting next to Ice Cube.
Really?
Yeah. So she's like, yeah, I got a chance to, I was like, were you watching the game or are you over there spilling and doing something?
Take it easy.
So anyway, it's pretty cool to play in games like that because the magnitude of playing someone like this. So when you're thinking of going into the game, what does this mean for San Francisco to come to them? I think there's a little bit of advantage for the Packers now because they have to come there. Anytime you got to take a warm weather team and try to bring them into Green Bay. Shoot, I can remember playing Oakland or the Raiders at Lambeau Field, and it was a total beatdown because that was kind of an advantage for us. No, it was 26 below. I'll never forget that either. Yeah, I do have pretty good memories of that because there was so much history of just the talent that the 49ers had. Like I said, the names, the quarterback, and wide receiver and running backs. They were loaded, and we were able to beat them. So I knew we were pretty much there after that.
Beat down. 21-0 right out of the chute. Your buddy Craig Newsome already picked up the fumble on Wayne Simmons' hit, kind of got the party started. And it'll be interesting this weekend, George. San Francisco has a team I feel like can play in those conditions. If it's negative, whatever, wind chill, they want to run the ball. They've got just gnarly, just dudes that want to kick your ass. Kittle, Debo,
Yes.
Trent Williams, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa. What's your read on this game? Do you agree with that? Do you think that this could be an upset? And if Green Bay is going to pull this out, they are the favorite and they are at home. What's the path for them, you think?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head is that San Francisco's running game is so strong. And I got to watch it firsthand when they played the Cowboys this weekend, watching it in the stadium. You see it on TV and you kind of figure it out. And then you watch it in the stands and you got to go, okay, they're pretty legit with the way they run their game. And so I was very, very impressed with that. Now it will be something that the Packers are going to have to monitor because the way I was even surprised that they packed it kind of in to be able to run the ball, but they're just trying to create more gaps. If we're talking real football, they're trying to create more gaps so you don't know, and you have to line up people to fit those gaps. And they're very good at finding a soft spot, in your defense to try to run the ball to. So the Packers are going to have to be really good at defending that. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Passing game is better for the Packers. So, I think you win that game. Packers have a good running game too, 1-2 punch. But I think it's going to come down to quarterback play. I think the Packers win just because of quarterback play and the home field advantage. I think will be the difference. Green Bay's defense has been strong and been really good, but trying to contain that running game with Debo, first of all, Elijah Mitchell, and then maybe throwing in some hasty. It's It's a big piece. And I'm saying this firsthand because I watched it and I'm looking at, I didn't realize how fast Debo Samuel was. You see him on TV and you see him making plays and be that big. And I'm watching him live and he's just running away from people. I was like, this dude is way faster than people think. And so you got to contain him. If they contain, you're not going to stop him. If they can contain him, the Packers should win the game. And I feel confident that the Packers can go ahead and pull this one out.
Did you see him live last week in Dallas?
I did. Yeah. I went and watched the game, and I made the same kind of predictions. Actually, I thought that the Cowboys needed to control the running game, which would include Debo, which it didn't do necessarily. And the defense needed to create at least a couple turnovers, try to expose Garoppolo. And I think the formula is the same for the Packers. You got to be able to control that run game some so they just aren't that comfortable and hope that Garoppolo makes mistakes. And he did that in the Cowboy game. He threw the interception that went over the guy's head. Touchdown, capitalized right easy. Now, the Cowboys weren't good at creating a second one and then, all the other stuff. But I think if you can get a couple of turnovers, literally, I think if you can get a couple turn those into points, then 49ers game has to change because they got to start to panic and try to throw the ball. And then you win. Then you win.
As a player, George, if you heard your head coach after a playoff loss, like Mike McCarthy said, say that he thought the players were nervous during the team prayer, what would go through your mind?
That's a bunch of BS. I don't know that I would actually ever say that. If I was a head coach, I couldn't say that to the public or something. I think, there are things that you say in a team meeting where you say you can recognize, or you have to self-check yourself a little bit and say, I didn't motivate them guys, so my speech wasn't good enough to get them out of that funk. Nervousness is not a good answer at the professional level. You got some jitters. I get that. We all get that. How am I going to match up? But it's ain't high school football no more where you got anxiety so much that you can't go play the game. People making $5, 10, 20, $40 million. Hey, bro. So for a coach to say that's really more of you maybe not guiding these grown men to be able to say, no, we're trying to go out here and handle our business. I'm still going to put you in the best situation. Trust my calls, whatever, coordinators calls, and let's go play. Forget all the rest of the stuff. I don't care how young we are. We're pros just like they are. And we're going to go play our game at home, ride our fans, and win the game. Didn't happen. So
I totally agree, man. It almost is like he's pointing a finger at his players. He didn't really take responsibility for some, questionable decisions and play calls, to say the least. Whoever was calling these plays and whoever was making these decisions, from the keeping the guys out there after you convert the fake punt to the quarterback draw. However you slice it, it wasn't bad. And then now you're saying your guys are nervous, and it sounds like Jerry's gonna roll with Mike McCarthy. He did this with Jason Garrett before, right? It seemed like, oh, Jerry, he's pissed. He's gonna get rid of him. Big playoff loss. And then keeps him around. Wants him to stick around. And I don't know if anything's gonna change. I mean, everybody listening that's a Packer fan right now, they saw this story play out for a decade.
Yeah, I don't think he will. What not short? I think he won't do the Jerry. I don't think he'll have the same longevity if things don't get better. Just because I think time is also a concern for Jerry Jones. He's getting older, whatever. We're not talking death and all that kind of stuff, but it's just he's an older gentleman. Somebody in the family is going to have to take over, and he wants to be able to say, oh man, how many years has it been? Almost 30 years later that, hey, I at least got back to the NFC or the Super Bowl or something, because there haven't been any real successes since the last time they went to the Super Bowl in 95.
That's right.
Yeah. And I think he wants that because I think you can remember if you ever saw it where he broke down during this training camp, crying,
Right.
and saying, "Hey, I'd do anything to get back and have that feeling again," which that might mean, all right, I am going to fire somebody who, maybe I don't want to, but if it means I got a better chance of getting back to the Super Bowl, then he might cut the ties a little bit quicker than what he did with Jason Garrett.
It's a really good point. I hadn't thought of that. There could be more urgency out of ownership this time around because you could see it. That emotion was clear as day in July with Jerry Jones.
And it was clear after the game that he was pissed to no end. Man, I didn't expect to be doing this, and that's why he had to cool off. I know he said he had to go to John Madden's wake or funeral or whatever they were doing for him, and this kind of stuff. But I think he really had to think long and hard, and probably had to have his sons and daughter talk him off the ledge. Like, right. I don't know if we want to do this, just yet. We're already going to lose some coaches, perhaps, and so there's a whole lot more into it. I think he calmed down, took his 2-3 days, and what I like to call the 24-hour rule. Which that don't happen in the NFL typically. They fire you right after the game. Don't even let you get on the plane. Give you 24 hours to think about it. It's like, nah, yeah, out. So I'm glad he took the time and, at least give the guy one more chance. COVID year, and then this with new staff, some new staff. I think at least you get one more and see what goes from there.
Fair enough. Fair enough, man. I don't know. I feel like we've seen it, but hey, you know that coach and that team a lot better than me. George, let's get a Super Bowl pick out of you before we lose you. Who do you got and who do you have winning it?
It's funny because someone asked me that, and I still think from the NFC, from our side, that the Packers end up being in the Super Bowl. The other side, I'm still kind of torn. Because Kansas City's kind of rolling, the Bills and kind of figured out some stuff. Nobody's talking about the Titans, but they didn't beat everybody during the regular season. They're rested. They're about to get Derrick Henry back. None of us are delighted about Tannehill, I guess, quarterback and all that kind of stuff, but they found a way to win a lot of games and get the number 1 seed. So when I get on the other side of, I think their road is a little bit more difficult. I think it's clear for Green Bay to be in the Super Bowl. Other side, if I had to make a prediction, I think I'm going to go back to the Chiefs. I think it's going to be the Chiefs and the Packers to play in a very good and exciting football game. And then I'm going to pick Green Bay to win a close one because there's going to be a lot of star-studded stuff out there. But I think Green Bay can pull it out again, by 4 points, something of that nature, because their defense is still pretty doggone good. The Packers. That's what I say now. I might need to watch another weekend and see what this really looks like when you actually watch Green Bay play this week. And I'm saying that without seeing the Titans play in a couple of weeks, because if Derrick Henry comes back out there and rushes for another 150, 200 yards, then we might have to get back on next week. And I might have to tell you, I changed my mind. But that's the great thing about playoff football, man, is that you really don't know. We can all be analysts and kind of predict it, but it's just so much different. And for everybody out there, we always talk about it's just another game. No, not when you get into the playoffs. There's other incentives for players. There's bonuses, playoff bonuses. You win the game, you get this amount of, things that people don't talk about. But man, the players are looking for that extra check. They play a little bit harder. Maybe they're free agents and they're trying to really get this deal because you're evaluated on the bigger games. differently? How did he show up in a playoff game? So it's so much more. It's just like, me, when we're talking about the interception deal, it's just a different atmosphere. Coaches are tight, meaning nervous or whatever. Did I make the best game plan? Players are anxious. Fans are on edge. Man, we got to win. You got to do, whatever. So everybody's tight. So it's very different in the playoffs.
Man, perfectly said. Perfectly. And it's good to remember that stuff. It's not just bodies moving on a screen. There's a lot at stake, a lot that you're dealing with mentally as a player out there with legacies on the line. Like I said, people are going to remember these plays. You don't know when that play is going to happen. It could define you forever, for better or worse.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it fun too.
Yeah, you don't want to be on the other end. You don't want to be on someone highlight reel in a playoff game because they're going to show it for the rest of
that's right.
your life.
That's right. Well, hey, they're showing the best possible play they could for you, George. And man, we really appreciate you coming on here to break it down. So it's great to hear your voice. Great to see you for the first time. When we did the Q&A, it was just on the phone. So, man, you're welcome back anytime to say the word.
All right. I do appreciate it. Thanks for the invite, man. I love it. Love talking about Packers as well. My wife was saying, okay, who we're cheering for now? I was like, well, I'm here in Dallas. We're always rooting for Dallas, but now it's on to the Packers, and I'm rooting for them to go ahead and win the thing because we do have a lot of memories, good memories, great memories for fans and our experience there. And if I could have been there forever, I would have been there forever. Just that's the business, though, right? That's the business.
Yeah, that's unfortunately it is, man. But hey, some great memories, and man, thanks so much. Great to see you.
Okay, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, you got it. We'll talk soon.